Hey, this is Fate 212. I'm Nafka, and we're going to do a battle report with the new Eldar Codex. Get a chance to look at some units, primarily Reapers, Wave Serpents, and some jet bikes, of course. And I'm going to be facing a buddy of mine who has brought his Dark Eldar with some Eldar allies. And here shortly I will be able to see exactly what it is he's fielding. I don't quite know yet, but we'll take a look, and I'll have some comments and maybe observations afterwards. So this is pretty rough. There's going to be some proxies, just letting you know ahead of time. But the models will be pretty close as far as what there is. So because we're just all getting used to the codex and kind of trying to see what's going on. So anyhow, let's get to it. All right, on the Eldar side of things, we have 6 squads of 3 Windrider Guardian jet bikes. Each one has an upgraded Shuriken cannon on it. Each squad has one. Moving past the troops, we have in the heavy slot, we've got 4 squads of 3 Reapers, all with Starshot missiles. And 2 of the squads have Eldar missile launchers, with flak, of course. And then we move out. We've got 2 Warwalkers. Of course, there'll be a little bit of proxy in there, as you can tell, but we have 2 scatter lasers on those. 2 Aegis defense lines with the Karas Las cannons. The Wraith Knight standard layout. 4 Wave Serpents, and those are actually holding the Reapers. And those will be all have scatter lasers, Shuriken cannons, and holo fields. Moving out, we have we have 1 Crimson Hunter Exarch. We have 1 Autarch with Mantle of the Laughing God, Reaper autocannons, and I can't remember what else is on him. I will check the list. And then we have 1 pretty much naked Farseer. So that's pretty much the Eldar side of things. And for Dark Eldar, we have the Dark Eldar with Eldar allies. We have Duke Siliscus down here with a 20-man squad of warriors with 2 splinter cannons. We have a naked Farseer over here with 10 warriors and a splinter cannon, and the same thing over here. Then we have 2 5-man warrior squads, and those look like they're mounted up in the Venoms with the standard dual splinter cannons. And the 5-man squads also have a blaster. We have 3 Razor Wings with the standard mono-scythe missiles. And then we come over here. We have 2 Wave Serpents with Dire Avengers, 5 Dire Avengers in them. We have 3 squads of 3 Trueborn. There are splinter cannons, 2 splinter cannons in each one of those. Over here we're going to have, these are a squad of the Guardian jet bikes, I'm assuming. And then of course we have 2 Crimson Hunter Exarch flyers. So that's what we're looking at for the Dark Eldar. Hey, the mission is number 1, Crusade, which is D3 plus 2 objectives. There are 5 objectives on the board. Dawn of War placement, which is 12-inch deployment zones. And of course we did terrain placement, and the terrain was very high, a lot of terrain on the board. So let's take a look at where the objectives are. This is the Eldar side. We have 1 objective over here, 1 here, and 1 there. On the Dark Eldar side, we have 1 in those trees, and 1 buried deep within these ruins in the shadows that you can't really see in there unless you get really close. And we are about to see who goes first and see who deploys. So let's go ahead and do that here in a sec. The Dark Eldar won the dice roll, and they chose to go second with their overpowering air. However, the Warlord traits were on the Eldar side, since he took strategic and ended up giving me a -1 to my reserve rolls. And with my Autarch, that should give me some flexibility to hopefully keep my 1 flyer alive. And of course, I rolled split fire for Eldar, which is probably not going to do me any good. So, getting ready to deploy. Eldar deployment, we have Reapers in position, ready to jump out and get to their field positions out of the Wave Serpents. Same thing there. And over here. Notice behind the wall is where the Wraith Knight is hiding. The Wraith Knight, of course, is hoping to stay back there and get a 4+ cover save. And we will see how that goes. The Wraith Knight is my most vulnerable target on the field. Everything else, Eldar's side, the jet bikes and the walkers and the Autarch are all put into reserve. On the Dark Eldar side, we have Duke Siliscus and his 20-man squad in these ruins, with a Wave Serpent sitting back here with Dire Avengers in it, and they are all camping on an objective right there. We have a 10-man squad here with a Farseer, with another Wave Serpent back there, Dire Avengers in it, of course. And of course we got another 10-man squad of warriors. And back over here we have, it looks like Trueborn, and with Venoms. And I believe we are pretty much ready to go. I didn't see 2 other squads of Trueborn.
They're both in here.
We have another squad of Trueborn up top in the ruins.
Yep, and one's off on this side.
And one's off on this side. Over here.
Yeah.
Okay. That pretty much gives us the deployment, and we are getting ready to start first turn. All across the board, Reapers got out and manned their Icarus las cannons. The Wave Serpents, of course, came around and they're looking at some shots across the way. Reapers, of course, are going to be shooting down here at some targets out in the distance. And the same things over here. Pretty much Reapers got out everywhere and shots were lined up, and the big Wraith Knight is afraid of Dark Eldar and of course hiding behind the ruins. I doubt he'll come into much play, but we will see what happens. So anyhow, that's pretty much that's the movement. In shooting, we had a Wave Serpent wipe out that squad of Trueborn over there in the ruins. Over here we had a whole set of shooting going on towards some. There was 3 casualties in there from Reaper fire with an Eldar missile launcher. And this squad here got pelted by 1 Wave Serpent and just pretty much shredded most of that unit. Over here, 1 Venom was destroyed. The squad inside came to the ground with 3 survivors, and of course they failed a leadership test and ran off the board. So the Eldar had a good round of first round shooting, and we will see how the Dark Eldar respond. On the Dark Eldar, hey, this Wave Serpent moved forward. It's still loaded, moved 12. It's moving in position, of course. We're looking at a lot of shots that way, trying to get rid of a Icarus las cannon. And of course this 10-man warrior squad with a splinter cannon is doing the exact same thing, because, well, he needs to kill that thing. Over here, we had a Farseer decide that his 10-man squad was not a good place to be. So he joined a different squad. And other than that, we have, over here, we have a lot of targeting. We had Fortune, I think, go down on this guy, so the Icarus las cannon is pretty much going to get toasted with 12 shots plus this guy down here if need be. So we're not looking very good as far as Icarus las cannon surviving. And that's pretty much the movement phase for the Dark Eldar. Dark Eldar shooting turn 1. He did get both his targets. Wave Serpent and a Splinter Cannon took out 1 Icarus las cannon. And over here, of course, the Venom put a horrible barrage of twin-linked nastiness on this Icarus las cannon and knocked it dead. So that's the end of the Dark Eldar shooting. That was pretty much it for that. and we'll be talking to you in a minute. Eldar Movement. We had this round, because of my opponent's Warlord trait and because of my Autarch, I actually was able to keep my Crimson Flyer from coming on the board. So that actually helped me drastically. So I'd like to say a big thanks to my opponent, but well, hey, it was just luck. So other than that, we have movements. The Wave Serpents moving forward. We had five out of 6 Eldar jet bike squads come on, including my Autarch, who came down here. And we took, we're basically the Eldar are swarming onto this side of the board, and it looks like Wave Serpents are all lining up for a barrage of shots to pelt the other side of the board. So we will see how all that goes here in a second. The Eldar shooting phase was very brutal. We had pretty much everything shooting at a Wave Serpent. That was where that base is, and it was destroyed along with all the guys inside from Reapers and Wave Serpent fire. Same thing for the 10-man squad where those Farseers were at. Wave Serpents and Reapers just unloaded on that squad, and both Farseers died. My Autarch fired his Reaper cannon. He, of course, killed one Dire Avenger way in the back. And over here, we had a bunch of shooting coming this way from bikes and Reapers, and the Trueborn squad and a couple of the 5-man squad were destroyed, which a leadership check was still, we didn't do a leadership check on them yet. So anyhow, that's pretty much the Eldar shooting phase. It was actually very disgusting. Those Wave Serpents were just beyond brutal. So that's it. Dark Eldar reserves came in with a vengeance. We have a lot of flyers coming in, and it's going to be brutal on what happens here. Four out of the 5 flyers came in. Interestingly enough, when his Farseer died, he had the psychic power up that allows you 3 dice to roll for your reserves. And interestingly enough, he died to a barrage of Wave Serpent fire. So that made a difference as far as the last couple of reserves coming in. But that's an awful lot of flyers, and I'm not too sure how the Eldar are going to hold up to that, because it is not pretty. So anyhow, that is movement, bottom of 2. Eldar shooting. We had these coming in here. The Crimson Hunters came down and shot, and between cover saves and armor penetration rolls, the Wave Serpents survived the attack. However, the Reapers were not as lucky. They took the Monoscythe missiles in the head, as well as Dark Lances, and I lost both my Eldar missile launchers with flak to Dark Eldar flyers. So that was the bottom of 2, and I think that was pretty much the only shooting. We had some shooting over here, of course. We had the guys there shooting across over here, and a blaster was saved by a cover save, and of course Eldar jet bikes with their Space Marine toughness and whatnot decided to stay in the fight. So that was shooting round 2. The Eldar, pretty much, we got our flyer in right here. We have guide on that, and we have prescience on his own squad there for psychic powers going off. But everybody pretty much lined up to start taking shots at the 4 flyers that entered the table. So it will be interesting to see what can actually be taken down and what will not. So, and of course we had some jet bike movement over here, and this is only the top of 3, so there's still plenty of time left in the game. Top of round 3, Eldar shooting. We had another round of extremely good Eldar shooting. As you can see, this thing's taken 2 hull points and cannot shoot this next round. The other 2 flyers were blown out of the sky, and this one, of course, took a hull point and cannot shoot as well. Over here, we had Eldar jet bikes taking out warriors. Over here, we had an amazing set of cover saves for 3 guys there. They were absolutely wonderful. Rolled 4 5s to keep themselves in the game. And the other part of shooting that was important was and there were some dire avengers here that were by this objective, which were shot down by a wave serpent. And these guys who did come in originally to shoot down this guy, they outflanked. They decided to turn instead and shoot into the ruins because there's not much in there that can actually deal with armor. So they decided to unload 4 scatter lasers into them, but only 3 guys died. So that's the end of the shooting, and we have some assault phase moves with jet bikes that I'm going to remember to do this round. And then we'll just move on to the next round since that's not as important a video. So, Eldar Movement. I'm assuming you were done.
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less.
You might want to move the warriors.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we had the final reserves for the Dark Eldar. These are actually Eldar jet bikes that are just being proxied. But they decided to come in and take on the War Walkers because he did not want his HQ being bogged down by tiny ass pissant War Walkers. So it was a good move there. His last Dark Eldar reserve flyer came in and is obviously targeting my poor little defenseless Crimson Hunter. And other than that, I think he might end up moving these last warriors, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. So, and that is pretty much the bottom of 3 Dark Eldar Movement. Okay, well, this is bottom of 3 Dark Eldar shooting. A 2 and a 1 will roll for Dark Lances against the Crimson Hunter. This Crimson Hunter will go down in history and is taken as dog fighting above here and taking out 5 fighters by himself, which he will claim. Which were not his, but hey, we might as well try, right? Other than that, we had a whole bunch of bikes come in here, which just unloaded into these guys because they could glance them to death really easily. However, there was only 1 glancing hit, and the shields on the Warwalker prevailed. And then the blast pistol took a shot, which hit directly, and you can kind of see here. You know, you're down here like this because the Warwalker's coming through the ruins, and roll a 1 for the pin. So obviously the Warwalkers are still untouched, unscathed, and about to wreak some havoc. So that was the end of round 3, and we're pretty much calling the game, but we're going to do one last round, I think, here, just to kind of see how things are going. I don't think that he can get tabled, but he tends to think I can. So we're going to just see if we can do that. So that's the end of the shooting and assault phase, because those spikes over there move. So going into the top of round 4. We pretty much had just everything's kind of moving up to the Dark Eldar corner over here, and that's where a majority of the action is going to happen. You see the little vector dancer decided to, hey, we got some bikes to shoot. Hey, let's shoot at them. And so everything else is just kind of lining up to take out the flyer and put the hurt on that back corner. So we will see how that goes. So we did call it. No, there was no tabling going. The tabling could not happen. Of course, the 20-man squad in the ruins was shot down to 4 warriors. The homunculi that was left in there was destroyed. And of course, a bunch of the bikes were killed. And we never even got to fire these guys. But it was going to be pretty ugly. I guess we could have made leadership checks to see if you were tabled. But here, bikes. Bikes get to stay. Everybody stays. So there's no tabling going on. But the Wraith Lord did finally get a kill today. He shot a flyer down from over here. He just took 1 pop shot at it, and it was destroyed. So overall, Eldar took the table in 4.
Yeah.
4. So that's pretty much it. That's the end of the game. We ended it after 4. It was very dominant. The Eldar really just, well, let's just say they rocked the board. The Dark Eldar didn't stand much of a chance against it. And I have fought some of the units that he had in this list before, and they have been very effective. Okay, but the Wave Serpents were just pelting units in cover. With those shields. They were very, very effective. So the Wave Serpents were rocking the world. Let's talk about Reapers. The Reapers, holding them inside the Wave Serpents round 1 so they could not be touched, because I had 4 squads of 3. So they were a little bit vulnerable, even behind the Aegis defense line. But I put them inside the Wave Serpents because they are able to get out and shoot. Reapers able to get out and move, and then during the game to be able to move up and down my Aegis defense line to pinpoint those shots, to get those the shots in, really was to get the angles that I needed, really was beneficial. Plus the flexibility of 3 guys putting out, once you put fast shot on, you know, if you're firing the strength 5 AP3 rounds, heavy 2s, you know, 3 guys with fast shot, that gives you 6-7 shots. That's a lot of shooting. Or with the Eldar missile launchers, you're getting two small blast templates, so you're getting enough shots in as far as going infantry or against armor. They are very flexible with a lot of range. So I was very happy with how those minimum sized Reaper squads. Do fear the Reaper. Reapers have a place in the Eldar list because they had enough. I had 2 squads that were attached to the Karis las cannons. Of course, he took those out early, but that made him focus on those. He had to really focus and line up to get those. I made him work for it, and I think in the end it helped win the game, because I don't think he was able to do a lot as far except knock those out, which he was highly successful at. But not much else died on the Eldar side of things, like 4 Reapers did out of 2,500 points. So that's just kind of giving you some of the idea of the resilience of what the Eldar look like now. And they make a very viable turn 2 army, because you can withstand it, withstand the first round firepower, and deny that first kill, that first blood victory point, which is kind of how I see the Eldar being used. Where Dark Eldar are in my opinion, oftentimes like to go first. Eldar, on the other hand, are a very solid second round army, and I think that they have some severe advantages to that, with not only with their fast moving jet bike troops, but with their Crimson Hunter, which prefers to be in after the other flyers. You need an autarch in that. You really do. It was very beneficial that I had a -1 to my reserve rolls tonight, due to his warlord power. You're not going to get that very often, okay? But having the autarch made it so that my Crimson Hunter came in when it needed to. It took out air targets very effectively. And if we hadn't been goofing off by round 4, I would have flown it off the board, and it would have came back in round 5 and knocked out another piece of air. So very dominant when it comes to air-to-air dogfighting. It's nice. I like it. Is it worth the 20 points for the Exarch? I'm going to say yes for now, because when it comes in, you need it to kill something. And I don't think that it's... I think that if you miss, you're going to be crying a lot, because it's very vulnerable. But with the Vector Dancer, you are able to hopefully maybe stay out of the ranges of as much as possible. Limit what comes in at it. And maybe keep it alive. So I'm going to say I like the Crimson Hunter. I don't know if it'll make my list every time. The Reapers, I liked the Reapers. I liked how they worked. Will they make my list every time? I don't know, because I'm still working on my builds. So I've got a lot of ideas. Wave Serpents, will they make my builds? Of course, they will be there a lot, because they are just that awesome. I have 4. Do I need more? Probably. Then again, will I be fielding more than 4? I don't know. That's a lot of points. They're 145 points the way I've been fielding them. So I think the Wraith Knight, hey, that's 2 games in a row. Did nothing pretty much. It knocked out a flyer by accident. Hey, it rolled a 6 to hit it, and it knocked it out, blew it up. What else was on my list that mattered?
that pretty much was the list. Did I like the small squads of bikes? Oh yeah, I did. I was able to pretty much swarm the field and be wherever I needed to be with that much. 3+ saves. Toughness 4, the Marines with extreme mobility. They are absolutely devastating. They did some damage. They did enough damage. They did their points damage on the field, and they would have, if we would have kept going, would have basically been controlling 4 of the objectives, because they can be anywhere on the board, and then that last round or whenever you need to, they get wherever they need to be. You know, they just can turbo boost and get wherever. So I did like them a lot. I think that's pretty much it. So that was the battle. Eldar victory, Dark Eldar loss, and I want to thank my opponent for coming out and putting up with me and seeing what, and let me film in between the rounds and seeing exactly what these Eldar are capable of. So anyhow, that's it. I hope that this battle report helped you with your figuring out what the Eldar are capable of and what they're going to do. So this is NAFCA, Fate 212. It's late. I'm going to get some sleep. Good night.